known the answer to the quiz anyhow, so. Hey, a couple things I just kind of want to go over quickly. First, number one is check your feedback, okay, constantly. I've gone through everybody's Project One submissions that you've submitted totally. There's a lot of corrections still that need to be made, and so I leave that in the feedback. Most of them are very, very simple, okay? There's just something that got missed, something that got goofed up, okay? And that happens, which kind of gets me to one of my other points is, I know I look at it in class. I'm not always going to catch things in class. Often I'm looking at just one spreadsheet in class, like your payroll. And when I look at them and I review them for good, when you've submitted them, I go from the starting point every single time. I go back and I go through each and every spreadsheet because I want to make sure that they're clicking, that they're, what goes together, and it goes together properly, right? And so sometimes I don't catch things in class that I will catch on those reviews. I put it in the feedback, okay? The way I kind of grade these is, if you're really prompt in getting back, fixing the feedback and getting it back in, that's a good thing. If you're really delayed in fixing those things, then that's a bad thing, okay? In other words, your grade goes down the more delayed you are in responding to the feedback. So check that constantly, okay? If you've submitted something, I'm trying to get after them pretty quickly, and so far I'm doing a pretty good job of that. Okay, then check your feedback and make sure then that you're fixing whatever things I have noted. Also, make sure that you're submitting things to all of the drop boxes. Okay, and I think one person, I won't say who, but is only submitting those particular spreadsheets, taking out the spreadsheets. I want the whole workbook submitted all the time, okay? I want the entire workbook submitted all the time so that I can, again, everything goes together, right? And there's links from cells in one spreadsheet to cells in another spreadsheet, and so everything goes together, and so I need to see them in that context so that I can give you guys good feedback on it. Check feedback. Double check your spreadsheets while you're working with it for that same reason. I think Jake and I were looking at something Tuesday, and we changed something, and then that changed his line of credit, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. He'd paid off his line of credit. Well, when we changed something else, he no longer had a line of credit, but the payoff for the line of credit was still there. So then he had a negative line of credit, which is really kind of impossible to have, right? So we caught that, we got it fixed, but that's what you guys got to kind of double check on when you're looking through those spreadsheets, that when you make one change someplace, and it might be a change that I've recommended, it may change things on other spreadsheets. So do like I do. You make some changes, go back to the starting point, click on it, glance at it. It doesn't take but 2 seconds. You glance at that, you glance at your payroll, you glance at your sales, you glance at those additional inputs and things like that, okay? Next week, get ahead on stuff this week because next week gets a little bit busier. There's some extra assignments that I've thrown in there because I think, like I've said, the Chapter 9 stuff, it's mainly just getting into payments and how you calculate those and a few other things, some net present values and some things like that. Things that I still use to this day constantly, okay? I'm just constantly doing spreadsheets and whatnot for personal, for other people, for whatever. Example, a couple years ago, my buddy calls me up and says, hey, I'm thinking of refinancing my house. Should I do that? Okay. Some of the things that we're going to do in Chapter 9 and whatnot, in fact, I've given you one assignment that has to do with refinancing a house, right? And it's the thought process that I went through when he asked that question, and I could get on my computer and calculate it and see if that was a reasonable thing to do or not. So, and that's it's easy to associate that with everybody for personal finance, but those are the same questions that businesses have as well, right? Should you refinance? Should you pay off? Maybe, our church has a loan that's at 4% interest. And, we got enough money in the savings account. Should we pay that off? Maybe, okay. And knowing some of these things is what, you know, helps you decide those things. So, okay, that's all I got for today. But go to work, get ahead on those things. I would be more than happy to come along and look at those projects, especially the feedback that I gave you, and we can kind of go over it. I know a couple of you, I said even that we do need to look at it in class, because there's some things I can show you that'll take me 10 seconds here to take me 20 minutes to type it up.